Okay, so this is 第三课, and this is the second dialogue that we didn't get through in the lecture today. So let's go through it together. Right, so let's have a listen.
你们学校有多少学生？
你们学校有多少学生? Okay, so here we're using the question word, forgive my writing there, 多少, 多少. And as I explained today in the lecture, the reason that we're using 多少 in this case is because we're talking about a whole school, and so therefore we would assume there would be more than 10 students. The other thing also I just point out here is when we're talking about your school, so that's 你们 in the plural, because we're talking about something or an organization that they belong to, as in school, so they're a member of the school, we don't actually need to put the in the middle here. Okay, we could put it 你们的学校有多少学生, but this is a rule that you can write down where you're expressing sort of talking about an organization that you're a member of, and it could be your family, 你们家. It could be the school, 你们学校. It could be the university, which you're a member of, 你们大学. You don't need the de. Okay, let's have a look at the second part.
我想大概有3万个。
我想大概有3万个. So we said in the first dialogue today that you can start off a statement where you're expressing an opinion that you may not know the exact situation about. You can start off by saying 我想, so I think, 大概有3万个. So a couple of things to note here. First thing is here again our verb is 有, which means there is. So we're saying that I think that there is 有. And we want to say approximately, and I think I mentioned when we went through the vocab list that the word for approximately is of course 大概. But what's really important is to notice the position of 大概. So 有 is our verb, and 大概, because it's an adverb, it's changing the meaning of there are. We're saying that there are approximately, so it's modifying the meaning of the verb 有. That comes before the verb 有. And then this last little bit's worth noting, 3万个. So obviously here, because we know that we're talking about students, that's already been mentioned up here in the question. We don't need to repeat students in this answer here. We can just simply say 大概有3万个. But if you were to add 学生, it wouldn't be wrong. Right, let's have a look at the next bit.
有没有人学习汉语？
有没有人学习汉语? So I'm pretty sure you'll be able to see what our question word is in this sentence. Okay, so it's 有没有. I think by now you guys are pretty familiar with that whole idea of the affirmative negative of the verb to make a question. So our verb here is 有, the affirmative is 有, the negative is 没有, and when you combine them together like that, it makes a question. I'm madly pointing with my cursor on the screen here, so I hope that's actually showing up. So 有没有人, is there anyone, 有没有人学习汉语, studying Chinese, 有没有人学习汉语? Let's see what Zhang Ling. So we've got two characters here, and I didn't mention them before. We've got Jie Ke, who is, I think we said was Jake, and then we've got Zhang Ling, who is it doesn't really say. I think Zhang Ling is a teacher anyhow. Right, so let's see what how Zhang Ling responds to Jack's question. Jack's question about 有没有人学习汉语?
有很多人学习汉语。
有很多人 学习汉语. Okay, and here's an example where we've got two third tones. We've got 有 and we've got 很, and we turn the 有, the first third tone, into a second tone. 有很多人学习汉语. So you'll notice that basically the response to Jake's question, 有没有人学习汉语, it uses the same format, the same information, pretty much in the same sequence to give the response. 有很多人学习汉语. And you'll find quite often with questions in Chinese, and this is particularly important for the oral exam, if in the oral exam, 姚老师 asks you a question, you try as hard as you can to listen to the question and then use the information in the question, use the word order in the question to then give your response. And it's true in conversations in real life as well. So sometimes if you don't fully hear the question or you don't hear it clearly or there's something you don't understand, you can ask them to say it again. 请你再说一遍. 请你再说一遍. I think using the software program I'm using at the moment, I don't have any way to type on the screen here, and it's really hard to write with the mouse. So maybe I definitely will teach you how to ask, can you please say it again, in one of the later lessons, most certainly. Alright, so Zhang Ning's answer was 有很多人学习汉语. So there are a lot of people studying Chinese. Okay, let's have a look at Jack's next question.
大概有多少人？
大概有多少人? So here we're starting to repeat a pattern, and again, 大概, about, approximately, and here's my verb. So 大概 always comes before the verb. 多少人? So again, Jack is expecting there's probably going to be more than 10 people who are actually studying Chinese at Zhang Ning's university. And let's have a listen to Zhang Ning's response.
大概有1000个。
大概有一千个. 大概有一千个. Alright, so again, here's our repeated pattern. Adverb 大概 and verb 有. So there are approximately 1000. And you'll notice up here, the tone for E, which is normally first tone, actually becomes fourth tone, because the following character, the following syllable, is a first tone. So 1000个. And then here with the ge at the end of the sentence, it's doing the same thing that we did up here in that earlier sentence, where we know we're talking about people, so we just leave it off. Okay, and let's have a look at what Jack says next.
我想去你们学校学习汉语。
我想去你们学校学习汉语. So here our main verb. So we've got a couple of verbs here. Okay, our main verb is 去, which, as you guys know, means to go. So that's the main, if you like, the main action. The second verb here, which is let me find it, 学习. The second verb here is explaining the reason for the first verb. So the first verb, the first action, is to go somewhere, and in this case it's to go to the university, and then the reason for going is to study Chinese. So it's not dissimilar to English. I want to go to your university to study Chinese. Here, the 想, this is a bit different from, now we had up here, let me see if I can get some different colors on this. So up here we had 我想, and if you notice, that one was followed by a comma. I'm hoping this is going to be clear for you guys because it's tiny on my screen. 我想，comma 大概有3万个。Here 想 means I think, so I'm expressing an opinion. Down here, the 想 I'll try and outline it without making a mess, is it has a different meaning. Here 想 means to want to, or I would like to. I would like to. We're going to learn another word later on, which is the word 要. 要, Y-A-O, fourth tone. I mentioned it in the lecture today. And that means I want to. So that's fairly definite, if you like, fairly strong. 我想去你们学校学习。我想. This 想 means I would like to. So in my mind, it's not as strong as 要. It's just something I would like to do. 我想. So here, in this case, 想 doesn't mean think. Here it means I would like to. Okay, I'm going to stop the video just for a moment because I just need to see if there's another page, and this is all a bit funny on my screen, so I'll be right back. Okay, now here's part 2. This is just the final couple of sentences of Dialogue 2 of 第三课. I've changed my screen configuration around so I can actually see this, so if I keep looking off to the side, forgive me. So let's have a listen to what Zhang Ning says in response to Jack's declaration he would like to go to their university to study.
是吗？你为什么想学习汉语？
是吗？你为什么想学习汉语? So when somebody makes a statement like Jack did, and you want to, sort of say, "Oh, really?" You can use an expression like 是吗? Is that right? Is that so? Really? 是吗? And then Zhang Ning asked the question, 你为什么想学习汉语? So you notice that the structure of the sentence is basically the same as Jack's statement. 我想学习汉语. 我想去你们学校学习汉语. And now basically what Zhang Ning's done is replace the verb 去 with 为什么, the question word here. 你为什么想学习汉语? So why do you want to study Chinese? And let's have a listen to what Jack says.
我们在中国有一个分公司，老板让我去那儿工作。
我们在中国有一个分公司，老板让我去那儿工作. Okay, so Jake has split up his reply into 2 parts. So let's look at the first part. 我们, sorry, I've got to look over here. 我们在中国有一个分公司. So I think by now for you guys that sentence is probably fairly straightforward. We have a 分公司 was a new word this lesson, a branch company in China. So if you remember, the basic word order is we start off with the subject. I'm hoping this is showing on the video, which is 我们. So that's who we're talking about in the sentence, who we're making some comment about in the sentence. Then we've got place 在中国. Okay. Then we have the verb. Let me just change colors for that. So I've got our verb there, 有. Okay, there's our verb. So we've got place first. So where something happens or where something exists. And then we've got the verb 有, which is to have or there is. And then 一个分公司. This whole part here is what's called the object of the verb. So it wouldn't make sense to simply say 我们在中国有 and not finish the sentence. There needs to be something. There is something. Well, that's called the object of the verb. And in this case, it's 一个分公司. Jack then goes on to say, and we looked at this sentence in the first part of the lesson today, but 老板 让我去那儿工作. So if you'll recall, I said 老板 referring to the boss, and generally that would be a boss in a commercial enterprise. But what's really important, I just want to re-emphasize, find another nice color here, 让我去, 让我去. 让 means to ask me to go. Okay. The thing about 让 in this situation is because there is a status differential. So there's the boss asking somebody who is their superior, their employee. Sorry, their inferior. Their subordinate is the word. Their subordinate. So therefore, you would use the word 让. 让 is not impolite, but it does imply somebody of a higher status asking somebody of a lower status to do something. We've learned another word which means please, and I'm sure you'll remember what that is. It's 请. So when we said 请进, 请坐, okay, it's that 请. That word 请 can also mean to ask somebody to do something. Alright, so when we say 请坐, really that would translate as please take a seat. But if we could say, I don't know, 我朋友请我去那儿工作. So what we could do is we could take 老板, okay, here, and we could change it for somebody of an equal status. So 朋友, and we could say 我朋友请我去那儿工作. Now, in that case, with 朋友, I mean, you assume the status is fairly equal. Your 朋友, your friend, wouldn't 让你去, they would 请你去. So it would be a little politer. So 请 and 让 both mean to ask somebody to do something, but 让 certainly has that tone of a superior asking a subordinate to do something. Okay, and the 那儿 there you could change for 那里. Right, that's it. Thank you very much for watching.